Hi, my name is Cole Owens. I'm with the Tomar Fire Department. I want to thank you for giving me your time today. I come to you with a few things. One, and most importantly, being the biggest risk the community of Ottumwa faces and some associated risks. More importantly, though, I come to you also with a solution, or what I believe to be a solution to this risk, and with help from the community and other places in the community, I believe we can make Ottumwa a lot safer place. So a little bit about the Ottumwa Fire Department. We have 8 3-man crews. We are a BLS non-transport service. That means we provide basic life support to the community, but we do not transport. All the ambulances that you see in town or that you work with in town come from the hospital, the Ottumwa Regional Hospital, or ORMIX. We run side by side with them and respond to all medical calls within city limits. We will be with you on scene until they can get there and provide greater care for you and transport you to where you need to go, whether it be to the hospital or out of town. They do that. So the greatest risk that we face has to do with the hospital's location and those of us who live on the south side of town. The hospital's location, as we know, is on the northern tip of town, and that is about 10 minutes away from anywhere on the south side of town, where according to the Census Bureau, about 70% of us live. 70% of us work on the south side of town. 2 big businesses, John Deere and JBS, are both on the south side of town. So that means residents living on the south side of town have to wait 10 minutes or more for an ambulance and ALS care. The fire department, have a south side station located on Ransom Street, where I'm at right now, but we don't have an ambulance, and we don't have the ability to provide advanced life support services like the hospital does at this point. So our response times to anywhere on the south side of town is still 2 to 5 minutes, whereas the ambulance, due to its location, is upwards of 8 to 10 minutes. What's the solution to this? Well, the biggest risk is that response time for life-saving medicine or care that only an ambulance can provide. To those of you on the south side of town, especially south of William Street, you're at least waiting 10 minutes for an ambulance. The fire department has a perfectly good station on this side of town that we can put an ambulance in, and I think that's the solution. We run and operate an ALS ambulance out of the station, greatly reducing those response times. That is the greatest risk. To do this is going to take time, and there's a lot of steps, but I think as a community, if we work together, we can do that. So what does that look like? Well, due to the recent layoffs, the Ottumwa Fire Department does not use its tiny rescue squads anymore. Long story short, we don't have enough people to run them. Every truck out the door is an engine. It's a truck or a pumper. So we trade them in, which the union, Local 395, has already looked into trading both of them in and buying a used ambulance with the equipment on it to start running ALS calls as soon as it's in here. And after the trade-in, values of the squads, the city is looking at about a $30,000 upfront cost, but once that ambulance is in here, it's got all the equipment, it's ready to roll out and start running calls. The city has expressed little to no interest in doing that, so we turn to other partners of this community. As I said, 70% of us live on this side and work on this side. Both big businesses are on this side of town. What better way to stay in business than to make sure your employees are safe at home? I think they have lots to gain from investing in this idea, this plan, and keeping their employees safe and able to return to work the next day. So I think we could form a committee consisting of the Ottumwa Fire Department, people from the hospital, and people from each stakeholder entity to come together, create a plan, come up with the money we need to start this, and get an ambulance in here. Once there is an ambulance in here, what does that look like? Well, the fire administration needs to come up with standard operating procedures and policies, a provisional ALS guideline, so that we're doing this lawfully and correctly. 20% of the hospital's emergency medical staff are Ottumwa firefighters, so we have the personnel here to run the paramedic calls that we're asking for every day, so we don't have to worry about that. We buy that ambulance, we get it in here, and we're ready to go. The response times are instantaneously down to 3 to 5 minutes as opposed to 10. That's very measurable, and we start seeing great results from that right away. Eventually, after the Ottumwa Fire Department starts seeing revenue from the first ambulance, we're able to charge the public for these calls that were going on and transfers and whatever else the hospital needs help with. We can buy a second one and put it in Northside Station, and the eventual goal is to completely take over and be the primary EMS agency of Ottumwa. And then using money from these ambulances, we're able to not only hire back the 6 people that were just laid off this month, but add more guys per crew, which in turn makes the community safer by, if you had a fire at your house, you have more firemen showing up, ready to work and able to do their jobs. It's very important that in the first stages of this plan being implemented, we monitor closely the results and the impacts it's having. The committee I mentioned before would be headed by the Deputy Fire Chief of Ottumwa Fire. And within the first phases, 3 to 5 years, they need to meet at least quarterly, go over reports. The response times are going to be easy to see. That's going to be a no doubt success. Another way we can make sure it's working and having positive impacts is patient follow-ups, follow-ups with their doctors, their surgeons, and just get their professional opinion on if ALS care was not provided on scene at this time, if it was 5 minutes later or 8 minutes later, do you think this patient would be alive? Do you think he would be alive? We could ask the patient if they were happy with the response time, with the kind of service they got. And as long as these are all positive answers, I think we're on the right track. Again, all these stakeholding entities need to come together. If things need to be changed, they need to work on it together and come up with ways to change it and continue to see positive results. So I think there is a great risk that we are looking at today in Ottumwa as we speak, but I also think there's one solution that can solve the response time issue and also solve the short-staffed issue. In doing so, we can work together as a community and keep this place safer and protect the citizens that we all swore to protect, took this job to protect, and make it a safer place to live. Thanks for your time.